Greetings and welcome. Hi out there. Welcome to the Biz Info Zone show. My name is Lynn Hawkins. I'm your host. I'm the Dean and founder of the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship, where we help social entrepreneurs accelerate business, because the more income you have, the more good you can do in the world. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Is how can you stand in the space of increasing not just your visibility, your opportunities, but your income and the results that you have out in the world by doing good. And so today's show, I am so excited to have friend and colleague, Dr. Aikyna Finch, with us today. And I've known Dr. Finch for, a little while, maybe a year or so. And she's doing some amazing things out in the marketplace today. And one of our collaborations, which is one of the things we're going to talk about, has been around the space of Google Hangouts, of Periscope, and now with Blab entering the marketplace. We're going to have a little bit of conversation about all of that. But before we get started, I'm just going to open things up, say hi, Dr. Aikyna Finch, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is definitely an honor to be here with you today, Lynn. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. You know, there's not a lot of places that we can play and be in the space of live video streaming globally, yet they're increasing. The opportunities are increasing for us to spread our wings into even further distances through additional mediums. And it's so exciting because you're going to see me kind of looking over to my right, your left a little today, because we're also doing a live Periscope.
Yes.
And what's really cool about this is Dr. Aikyna is scoping to her friends. We've got a lot of people who've joined us and said hello already. And we're going to be talking about some of the additional ways that you can collaborate in this space of online everything and bring your message to bear. So with that said, Dr. Aikyna Finch, do me a favor and tell our audience, how did you get on this journey of coming from the space of education and into now really focusing on entrepreneurs and educating entrepreneurs, helping them to be bigger and better in the space of entrepreneurship?
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I will be an educator till I die. That's what I always say. But, we have to expand and we also have to grow. And I've noticed that a lot of times our entrepreneurs may not go to college. They may go get a certificate or certification or things like that, or they just want a mentor or a coach. And education needs to be out there for all. And so I said, I love education, I love social media, and I love entrepreneurship. So why don't we just mix all of those things together and be a resource to men and women who are starting their businesses off and getting them on the right track. So that's how I got into the field of entrepreneurship in addition to my education.
Well, I love it. And to know that you're an author, an educator, an online show host, a radio show host, you've actually stretched into practically every medium that's out there with easy access to show entrepreneurs the biggest thing about being out here is just doing it. And even as an educator, there are a lot of people who are okay in the, I'm okay in the live setting. What was your biggest challenge moving from, say, the live setting, the live audience, into this space of online exposure?
Honestly, I have the reverse. I'm an introvert by nature. So it was easier for me to do social media. It was harder for me to actually teach on ground than it was for me to be part of social media, because introverts naturally assume that, oh, are they going to take me seriously? What is going to be the feedback? And I had to realize that I had to push past all those types of fears to really get out there into the medium. And once we push back those fears and let people know and realize that your purpose is bigger than your comfort zone, as I tell my audience all the time, that's when you're going to realize that you can go ahead and jump out there and say what you have to say. Because at the end of the day, we are being selfish by holding things back just because we're scared to step out of our comfort zone. There are so many people right now looking for our message, and they're looking for the words that we have to say and the vibe that we give out. Many people may say what we say, but they're not going to say it the way we say it. And the things that we say are going to resonate to them in a different way than somebody else or other people. So we need to really get out there. And once I realized that, that's when I truly was able to just jump out there into Periscope, jump into Blab, jump into Hangouts and say, okay, let's do this because my audience is waiting, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I love it because I'm very much like that as well. I feel very comfortable in this conversation of one-on-one, and I can kind of put aside the fact that there could virtually be, anywhere from 3 people to 300, 3,000, and possibly, as Oprah talks about, she's had millions of people viewing her show, sitting in her audiences that she's been able to be in front of. And I think the real key is what you said about your message is bigger than you. It's bigger than our comfort zones. And we are not our comfort zone. And, one of the elements that I know that has made this a lot easier and more exciting for me has been the whole idea of collaborating and bringing the conversation that I love having with particular people, whether I know them or not, to the forefront, to these various audiences. So I know that you have, at least 2 shows that you actually do interview style. Tell us a little bit about what those shows are and how they got started. The whole story element behind that is something that could help people to come out of that space of comfort and into the space of really getting your message out.
Okay, lovely. I would love to. We do the Changing Minds online show, and you can see that right there in my lower third. And what the 2 different shows we do is on Thursday nights, we do the Empowering Women series, and we also do the Sunday night inspirational call where we bring on men and women who have really inspired us to go to their next heights and, and have overcome many obstacles. The reason why these both came about was my co-host Jessica likewise and myself, we both have made many different achievements in our lives, but we really didn't have the support system that may have made it easier while we were coming up. And so when we realized that there was other women who felt that same way, we were like, okay, well, why don't we make a show that will help these women work smarter, not harder? If we didn't have it, why not be the place that they could come get it? And because we know it was a definite need. So in the Empowering Women series, we bring women on like yourself, because you have been on with us as well, to really give information and tidbits to let them know I did it and now you can do it too. Different ways through either social media, mindset, business tactics, writing that book, stepping out on Periscope, getting into blogging, whatever it is. We're showing women that they can do it no matter what. We have different types of women so that they can see themselves in the examples that we're giving them. Because, we all know women need to really just bond and see themselves in it. And that's what we do with that. for the inspirational call, we really bring people in like we call First Sunday Superstars. And that is where these people have come from the bottom and now they're here. You know what I'm saying? These people really have made different strides in their life and really motivated us, and we want to share their story. And then also different things like mindset, motivation, inspiration, those different topics where you really don't really cover a lot. But some people are asking the questions. So we answer the questions that the people are asking that they may not be getting from other places. So that's how they came about.
Oh, what a great story. You know, when I think about the opportunities that present themselves as, you know, we're going about doing our thing, it opens up a whole nother space for us to play in. And I know I talk to a lot of my clients when we get into this marketing conversation about, well, where should I go to do this? And who, you know, where do I go to have that conversation? And a lot of times it's specifically about the local market. You know, is there a BNI meeting or a meetup that's close by, or is, you know, your local church having a networking meeting for business owners, or, you know, things that are local in our area. But I want to point out that while we all know that this is a global opportunity, this is a global platform, sometimes we take for granted that people are really in all of these various locations. Like, I'm here just north of Atlanta, Georgia. Where are you broadcasting from right now?
I'm actually broadcasting from Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. And Jessica lives where?
She lives in New Jersey.
New Jersey. And I have a business partner, joint venture business partner, who lives in Colorado. And we are able to make those kinds of connections and have the kinds of collaborations that bring opportunity to not just ourselves, but to others, those who are watching, those who are listening, and those who will participate by doing the next step themselves. And you mentioned, you know, a lot of what you do is bringing this information and opportunity to people, but what they have to realize and what they will want to do on all fronts is take advantage of it, move into the next step. What have you seen has been the, you know, in the education space? Talk to us a little bit about how education has transformed because of the online environment and the collaborations that are able to take place now that we are truly living in this next generation of online communication.
Well, you just definitely tapped on one of my loves. I do a lot of posting on LinkedIn about this, as a matter of fact. This is so very important because, you know, yes, while we want to have that feel of being in the classroom, being able to touch, feel, you know, see our instructors, that's why we're trying to bring that feel into the classroom. We're doing collaborate, or we're doing go-to trainings. We're bringing the screen to the people. We're having it where they can interact via the conferencing. We're also bringing in things like Periscope, you know, Facebook, different things like that, so they can really hone in on the different skills, and you're building relationships. You know, that is the most important thing, because a student wants a relationship with their teacher. They want to know what the teacher's name is, and they want to know something about them and how they feel. And they want the teacher to also feel the same way. They want the professor, the professor to really get in there and know something about them as well. They want to be able to have that collaborative relationship. And with these different tools, we can now do these different things, you know. And now the social media, where we're meeting the students where they are, and we're bringing them up to the next level with the technology, and really being able to simulate the real life classroom, that is just ideal right now. Yes, there's so many different opportunities in education right now.
I love that. I love how you brought in the concept of story. You know, you want to know your professor's story, and you want your professor to know your story. In a lot of instances, that's what we as entrepreneurs, even in the online, the global market, want to hold back. My story isn't what I think is something that should be shared, could be shared, I want to share. And then, when you think about the importance of story, that is one of the key elements that helps to establish rapport. What do you find is a good tactic for bringing story out of some of your students?
That's a very good question. It's a little harder for introverts and extroverts, and I already know that that's what's going to happen. But it's basically the trust factor. If they know that your room is the safe zone, then they'll talk. If they feel like it's going to go to the next person and the next person, they're not going to. You need to build that level of trust, and that's how you build it through the relationships. And even though you're virtual, you still can have that level of trust. And that's where a lot of people really mess up, because they think just because it's virtual, you don't have any privacy. That's not true. That's why you have the DMs. That's why you have the ping me's and all these different things like that. You still can have the privacy. You can still build the relationships right there online.
I love it. I love it. And, one of the things that I have found, and I have started actually teaching my clients and customers about, is the value of story. And I want to stay on this subject for a minute because story is so impactful. Story is everything that you talked about, inspirational. You sharing your story about why Changing Minds Online and your women's show, it came about, as well as the reason why it's so successful right now, is really what is going to bring more of the trust factor into not just what your guests share, but what brings your audience back over and over and over again. And one of the things that I know impacts a lot of people when they think about sharing their story is the fact that we're in two markets. Well, actually, two markets on the spectrum of global market and local market. There's a lot of markets in between. But when you think about, I'm in a space and I am doing business and I want to get my message out. Should I, or, what's the real benefit of going through the local market versus going through the global market?
You need a taste of both, to be honest. What is the point of being known internationally and you can't go down the street and somebody doesn't know you? What is the benefit of that? You need the face-to-face connections as well as the online connections. There's no limit to your following. There's no limit to the people who are going to be touched by your words. So why should you put a limit on your reach? Yes, you may be comfortable with just meeting somebody face to face, but you are missing a lot of people that you can't meet face to face, that you can't touch just because you don't want to get on a camera. At the same point, if you feel very comfortable being on a camera and not seeing them, you're missing out on many people whose lives you could touch just by going and having a cup of coffee with them. So you should never limit your reach. That is the point of having both. We need to work our work in both markets because both markets deserve to be serviced. If that makes sense, yes.
It does. It makes perfect sense. What a great answer. And you're right. You are so right. And there's a lot of healthy support in both of those markets. And that gets us back to the conversation around collaboration. I have collaborators and friends, good friends, deep relationships in the global market, and I have friends with deep relationships in my local market. And it takes balancing them both for me to really feel like I'm full. And it's in that fullness that everybody it can get a piece of the message that I'm putting out. And I want others to see that for themselves as well. And how is it that you actually present in, we see you in the global market? What are some of the things that you do to reach into your local market?
Well, basically, I love to do the meetups. I love going to different seminars, collaborations. I also like the TED Talks in the area. They are gearing up for 2016, and hopefully I'll be on there. That's a goal. That's a goal. But, getting in there and really going to the chamber, going to the different networks of color, well, that's what would work for me. And, for different things like that, really, really expand your reach. I want people to know me on the level. And then when people are coming from Scope or from Blab and they're coming into my area, I make sure to make a meeting with them. Or if I'm going to their area, I make a meeting with them, and then we get on Blab and we're like, or we get on Periscope and say, the relationship is real. We have taken it from online to offline. And that way people see the importance of the true collaboration. I'm not here just to make friends with you on Scope. I'm here to make friends with you, period. Whether it be on Scope, whether it be on Blab, whether it be right down the street, whether it be at Starbucks, what have you. That is the extent of, I want full coverage friendship. I'm not looking for a virtual relationship. I want full coverage relationships. And that's what we need to show our audience, that yes, even though we do a lot of Blabs, even though we do a lot of Periscopes, we are trying to take the online to offline.
And that is truly where we meet our customers, in both venues. And I love, there was one thing that you said, about the relationship.
Yes.
Having the relationship does start somewhere. However, the real goal of the relationship should be to be strengthened, right? And so if somebody's coming into your area and you can meet up with them and have coffee. And I love the fact that we can have a virtual cup of coffee. I often call it a virtual cup of joe. But I love it when we can, take time to meet in the middle from wherever we are at any given point in time and have a cup of coffee and really put that live face to the face and name. And get into the more dynamic conversations. And especially when it comes down to how and where opportunities present themselves. So tell us where one of the strangest opportunities showed up for you. Was it online? Was it offline? Was it something that came in between the two?
I would probably say most of my stranger ones have been on like Periscope and Mirror. Well, I don't really do as much Meerkat, but I do a lot of Blab. Basically, they see you. And this is what I explain to my audience all the time. When you are Periscoping, when you're blabbing, it's real life. It is really what you're going to get. And people scour these because they want to look for that person who's going to be that keynote speaker at their conference. They're looking for that person that's going to bring their audience up. They're looking for their next guest. And if you, on these scopes, you can't make it pretty. You can make Facebook pretty. You can make YouTube pretty. You can do a whole lot of editing and then drop it in there. But you cannot edit your Periscopes. You cannot edit your Blabs. So they are getting what exactly they're going to get on that stage or on that screen. And this is what I say is going to really build that collaboration. That's really going to build your audience. They're seeing you 100%. And the more people start seeing me on the Blabs and on the Periscopes, I start getting more opportunities. I mean, the interviews are starting to come in, the collaborations are starting to come in, you know, the JV partners are starting to come in, and that's what you want. Let them know what they're going to get, and treat your periscopes and your blabs like that. Don't sit up there and talk to Boo Boo and them, you know, and do a scope about you talking to Boo Boo and them. No, you do a scope about what you want to do and your cause, and give them tips, give them free value. I call it meat because I say you want to take in the meat, spit out the bone, but give them good quality meat, and they will say, oh, if they're giving this to me for free, imagine what the paid meat's going to be like. So that is what the different opportunities are coming in. So please, ladies and gentlemen, use these platforms for your advantage. Let the people know exactly what they're going to get. Be of quality and be of value. They are giving you your time, and they are giving you their data. And please respect their time and data, and definitely give them a thank you.
Well, I just want to bring everybody's attention to what's going on Periscope right now. There are some hearts that are going out to Dr. A that are amazing to see. And I'm just loving it. I want, you know, I'm sure that those of you who have seen scopes have seen what I'm talking about right here. But you see those hearts flowing? That means something. That means something. And I'm just so grateful that we're having this opportunity to collaborate in this way. And I want our audience to know that it doesn't have to be limited to you bringing something that's going to be, you know, this major, massive, you know, 90-minute thing. Take 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Do something that's going to enlighten the world and lighten the energy of the world. Did you know that one person vibrating at a frequency of 500 or above, by virtue of what they put out in the world, can impact thousands? And it doesn't even have to be a direct impact. Like, I don't have to see you to know that that kind of energetic impact is happening. It just has to come out from a heart that's vibrating at that level or above. And to elevate people from, you know, the dregs and the down and outs that we all sometimes get in.
I agree. You know, I want to thank my Periscope following as well. They are definitely shooting up the rainbow for me as well. I want to thank them for their time and their data and for joining me and Miss Lynn Hawkins, you know, for this great interview and for this great opportunity. You know, I totally agree. Sometimes we do the afternoon affirmation to lift each other up, you know, during the day. And once somebody gets on that elevation, you know, and puts it out there, I then had a gentleman follow up with my affirmation and actually put it out there in Spanish so that his Spanish friends could get the same blessing that he received in English. So, I mean, oh my goodness, you know, the collaboration. Yes, it was Leonardo. He's saying me. And, you know, that is a wonderful, wonderful kind of collaboration when they trust your message so much that they want to put out your information to their followers who may not understand it in your native tongue. So that is just outstanding.
Well, and that is beautiful. And I want to encourage our audience, whether you're on Hangout or you're on Periscope, following because you saw my message, connect with both of us. Dr. Aikyna is Dr. A.D. Finch, and my handle is VL Hawk. And a lot of my friends call me Hawk because I'm all about helping and empowering individuals and businesses to soar. There's something about being in the space of having that 30,000-foot view of how you can impact the world and then doing it. And I call that soaring. You've got to take off and go somewhere. And so I'm just so excited to be in this conversation because I think it's critical, especially for business owners, to understand that I was in a conversation about marketing this morning, and it was like the question came up, what is marketing? And there were a couple of explanations, and there's active marketing, there's passive marketing, there's local, there's global, there's all this stuff. But the definition of marketing, which every entrepreneur is doing, whether they know it or not, is taking action to have people to know what you're doing in business. Now, I know that you teach other stuff, but if you were to teach marketing, what's probably the top thing that you would say philosophically, not, because we've talked about a lot of methods of marketing, but the biggest thing that you would say philosophically around marketing, that's, in that, what's your definition of marketing? What would you tell people?
I do teach marketing actually at the university, so it works out. And the first thing I do tell them is about building community. If you can't build a relationship, you're not going to get a sale. People buy from you for loyalty. They buy for you for accreditation. They buy for you because you know what you're talking about. If you can't show them that the product works, that you are about the product, and that you actually have general interest in them and how it's going to solve their problems, then basically you don't need to be marketing. You have to build the trust factor first. You have to build the trust factor. There has to be, in order for you to get the loyalty and the people to come back, you have to build the trust factor. And that is the basic need. You could talk about the 4 P's all day long and all this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, it's if they trust you, they will buy from you. They're not buying the product. They're really buying the person. They're not buying the service. They're buying the person. So if they're not feeling you, they will go buy that product from somebody else who they are feeling. And that's what they're telling you when they're not buying your stuff. I'm not feeling you. It's not your product. I'm not feeling you. So definitely go ahead and build that trust factor up. That is what the first thing in my mind when I do my marketing. Am I solving the problem? And am I doing it in a way that reaches others? That is two different. Those are two very, very important things that should be in your marketing plan from the very beginning.
You are so right. I love it. I love it. One of the biggest things that I tell my clients is really be clear about the problems that you're solving. A lot of people think that, the problem that I'm solving is something that I've kind of pictured and brought to bear because I think this is what my client needs to be solved. But how are you teaching people to go about really understanding what those problems are that they are solving?
That's a very good question. A lot of people go into the business thinking that they're solving one problem before they've even talked to their audience. But as they go through and they start doing their speaking engagements, or they're selling their product, or they're pitching their book, they realize that they really need to be solving another type of problem. That's kind of what happened with Changing Minds Online. We knew that we had a niche, and we knew that we had a problem, but it branches out. That's what all growth, that's what happens in all growth. You will start out with this problem and you will have that as a base, but at the end of the day, your growth will expand the service or the product. And you have to be okay with that expansion, because guess what? Your audience or your customers are telling you what they want, and you have to go with them. And if you're not giving them what they want, especially when they're telling you that, you will no longer have customers or audience. So you definitely have to be able to expand to the needs of your audience.
That's great. And you're right. I totally agree. Like everything, even your business will evolve and move into the space where you are identifying more of what your customer is looking for, because you're going to be having those conversations. And, if you're not having those conversations, there could be a number of reasons why that's not happening. But let's talk about a couple of ways that people might be able to increase those conversations and really find out, because I do get the question, how do I find out what my customers really want? Well, you ask them. Well, how do I ask them? What are some ideas that you have about how you can actually get those questions out there, get the answers back so that you can cull it in, make your marketing even more effective?
It's honestly, it tailors to the audience, to be perfectly honest. Some people like surveys. Some people like focus groups. Some people respond to just a regular poll on Facebook. All of these different things are there for you to do. Sometimes they would like for you to just reach out to them and have a phone call with them and ask them about their experience and how I could have made it better. In addition to that, they're happy to give you the information because first you reached out to them, you made them know that you value them and their time, and they're happy to oblige you by giving you the information. Take these times to build the relationship. Take these times to build a quality of, a quality customer or loyal customer. Take this time. I mean, why not? And the best thing is when a regular customer becomes a loyal customer, and then they become someone who is your word of mouth piece. And that is what the true goal is. If you have shown them excellent customer service, you have gone above and beyond with your products, and then your products did exactly what it was going to do and even more, they are going to reach out and tell everybody for you. They'll tell them better than you can sometimes, and they'll help you branch out your reach. And that's what people are really looking for. If their friend vouches for it, they're most likely to go get it than just if you vouch for your own product. Who are you? Versus if my friend is using it, I'm going to go and get it because my friend is like, okay, they thought it was awesome, so I'm going to go check it out. Versus if you're vouching for it, they may not check that out. So these are different things that you can do to really find out about your audience. Go out and find them. Go out and contact them. Go out and actually communicate with them and show them that they are valued and show them that they are part of the process. And then that information will flow.
Not only will the information flow, but they will consider themselves even more valued because
Yes.
you came to them and you solicited this information from them. I love it. And, again, going back to kind of the subject where we started, that's collaboration.
Yes.
A lot of times, especially for entrepreneurs, they box the word collaboration, they box the thinking of collaboration, they box the opportunity of collaboration in the, joint venture, strategic alliance. But a collaboration expands beyond that, even to your customer, and being able to ask and receive this kind of feedback from your customer. Anyone that gives you a testimonial, that's a collaborative connection relationship. And speaking of testimonials and having these kinds of things come to you, a lot of conversation is, especially where marketing is concerned. In my marketing, I'm doing education marketing. I'm really basing the reason that I'm out there to help people, to educate them. And then, at the end of it all, they're hesitant to sell something. They're hesitant to ask for somebody to, maybe not even spend money right now, but to come closer to build on that relationship. Mm-hmm. And I had one of my clients ask me, so I just don't want to be this used car salesperson. How do I bring sales and sales conversation into what I'm doing. How would you answer that question?
Wow. That's the time when you get innovative. I love innovation in marketing. That is where you flip the script. Most of the time, that used car salesman has a script, and oh, you could do this, and oh, you could do that, and oh, you could do this. What have you ever thought about starting with? So tell me what your ideal car looks like. How can we get, let's see if we can get as close to that ideal car as possible. Tell me about the seats. Tell me about the color. Tell me about the shape. Tell me about the brand. You're starting to get the person excited about what they're doing. You know, you're starting to get them to be involved in the process. And then as y'all going through the lot, you know, this is the color, but it doesn't have this. So what can we do to change that around? You know, start them in the story. Let them visualize this in their head. Let them be part of the process. Let them run the show. And that's where you do with your marketing. A lot of the problem with marketing is that the people who are doing it are writing copy that they would like to see. The key to true marketing is writing the copy that your audience wants to see. Putting your making the copy in a way that where your people can see themselves in it, if that makes sense. You know, telling it as a story, letting it kind of flow so that the people can see themselves in there actually using the product, actually using the service, actually using the talent. And I think that that will really help in any type of marketing plan. Don't write what you would, motivate you. Write what motivates your audience. And that's what would help him.
I love it. I love it. And it's funny too, because I happened to ask the question, well, what have you sold today? And of course, I got this perplexing look back, because all of what you're just talking about and all of what I'm getting ready to share real quickly is about reframing this four-letter word called sell. And in this reframe, do you realize that practically everything that you do, you're selling something, you're influencing someone to do or respond in some way? My asking you questions is actually a sell on the idea for you to have something to respond to. I told the story the other day, my grandson missed his bus to school. So he ended up, I asked him, well, what happened? Well, this and this and this and this. And it was like, can you take me to school? And then it was like, well, if I'm, busy doing this, why is it that I should stop what I'm doing in order to take you to school? Well, he had to sell me on taking him to school. And then on the way to school, and he did a good job. Well, Mia, I'm your favorite grandson, and you love me so much, and you don't want me to miss school. I mean, selling me. This is the sale. And then so on the way to school, I'm selling him on why he doesn't want to miss the bus again. And, then it went on to, somebody says, well, my grandson, what are we having for dinner tonight? And I'm in the process of making stuff. If he just stopped for a minute and look around, he could tell, but he's asking me to sell him on my delicious meal. And so a lot of times when we think about selling, we don't think about the real life and living that we're doing, the conversations that we're having, where we're actually in the sales process. And it's, again, goes back to the beginning of our conversation where we talked about relationship, and we talked about the collaboration is relationship. If I'm interested in having my grandson help me with fixing dinner, I'm actually selling him on the benefits that he will get from assisting in that. And I know that, when you're in that space of commanding a room as a speaker, and you are interested in holding the attention of your audience, you're actually in a position to sell. So in that space, without saying, I want you to buy something, what are some of the other things that you can do to actually influence moving somebody from that first line of sales copy to that next line of sales copy?
You know, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. First off, the first line of sales copy needs to be about them and about the problem. Then the second sentence should be, well, this is, have you thought about how you're going to solve this? And then the third system is, if you haven't, well, then let me show you how. You know, you are giving them, I accept your problem. I know that it's there. Then have you thought about any solutions to that? Giving them the ownership of, maybe I've tried this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, we're saying that I have a solution that has worked for me. Why don't you try that? And you're once again giving them an option. You're basically putting your audience in the driver's seat. And that is what you really want to do. You're not pushing your ideas on them. You're giving them the option. You're putting them in the seat to say, hey, wow, I've never thought about that. Because when you push on people, and that's what usually happens during the sale, and you turn people off, you don't give them the option. You need to give them options. Otherwise, they're no longer interested. They know that there's other ways around the situation. Show them several options that they can have, and then they usually come around to the one that you are wanting them to come to. But you got to let them know that there are options. If you are the only restaurant in the city, eventually your sales are going to go down because they have no options. They're going to go to another city to go and get whatever they want. Versus if you have a McDonald's, a Burger King, and a Taco Bell, now they got options, and you're going to keep some sales because they know that they have some other place to go, and they just prefer you. You're becoming the preference. So that's what you want to be. You want to be the preference, not the only option.
And in being the preference, when you share the value that you are bringing that really has them want to keep you as the preferred menu to select from, it's key. And I noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle around the concept of value and really coming to expressing their value statements. Do you have a particular methodology that you use in helping students or clients, customers come to really understanding their own value, the value that they're bringing, so that they can express that and complete that connection with their audience?
That goes back to they are not connected. And the reason why I say that is if you don't know your value, then you're not seeing yourself through other people's eyes. I usually take the approach of a client of theirs when we're going through this scenario. And I let them pitch to me and all of this, that, and the third. And when they're done, I'm like, okay, so from this, I got A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. If someone is not valuable, then why would I have gotten so many different points? If your service is not valuable, then why am I excited about being part of it? The only reason why that the people don't know about it at this point, because you do have value, is because you're not pushing it out because you don't believe it's valuable. And once you believe that it's valuable and you start putting it out into the community and into the universe, and you start seeing what other people see in you, that's when your business is going to blow up. And that's what I tell them. I let them see what the audience sees through their eyes and not what they're seeing. because they may be a perfectionist and say, oh my goodness, it's not popping like I want. A lot of them, they say, but you know what, at the end of the day, you need to see that it really is. How many good comments did you get today? How many sales did you get today? It may not be the sales you want, but you need to start celebrating the things that you do have so that you can grow on it to the next step. That's what I would give them.
That's great. That is so great. Well, speaking of that, why don't you let our audience know how they can connect with you and actually take you up on that invitation to watch one of your shows or both of the shows?
Yes. You can connect with me at changeyourmindsonline.com. We do Thursday night shows and Sunday night shows at 9 p.m. Eastern. We come right off of Blog Talk Radio, so you can go to blogtalkradio.com/Change Your Minds Online, or you can just go to changeyourmindsonline.com and pick out any archive that you would like to see. You can also contact me on all the social media sites. I am Dr. Finch on everything except for Google, and that's Dr. Aikyna Finch. They wanted me to spell out my whole name this time. But other than that you can find me at Dr. A.D. Finch everywhere.
I love it. And what has been, in your estimation, your value and the biggest, the thing that actually represents the biggest impact that you've had in this global online market?
I would say my biggest contribution is building communities. I love to build, I love to network, I love to collaborate, and I love to bring other people together. I love seeing other people realize their value and their true wealth and their true knowledge. I always give a motivational quote. I always give an inspirational topic. Always give them a way to bring their community together. I want them to work smarter, not harder, on building those communities, because they have a network waiting for them. And if they're scared, then the network is waiting. If they're not scared, if they're ready to roll, if they're ready to empower, motivate, and inspire, then that audience will be tapped into and they will be uplifted. And I do not ever want to see anyone not be in service just because of fear. And so that is what I bring to the table. I let people know that they can do it. If a little old introvert like me could do it, they can do it too.
Oh, that's so cute. I never would have thought. And I know a lot of people say that about me too. And it's funny because I have learned how to get closer to the middle of the spectrum between total introvert and total extrovert. And I am now much more comfortable in that space, balancing in that space. And looks like you have done that too, because until you said something, I don't know that anybody would really think that you are an introvert.
But I think Dr. Finch is an extrovert, but Aikyna is definitely an introvert. Most definitely.
Oh, that's too funny. So I want our audience to know that if you happen to check us out on the scope, then please, I encourage you to just write some comments in there. Let us know how you enjoyed the show. Let us know your biggest takeaway. What did you get out of watching today's show? We did a lot of talking on collaborating, on marketing, on introversion and extroversion. And I think that there were some key things that if you did take it away, we'd love to find out what those were. And love for you to join us again next week for our show. We broadcast the Biz Info Zone show every week on Thursdays, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. And you can watch the replays, subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Biz Info Zone show, and the P3 Academy of Social Entrepreneurship are Skyhawk Enterprises Ventures. And you'll find us on YouTube at Skyhawk Enterprises. And look us up, bizinfozone.com, p3academy.com, and skyhawkenterprises.biz. Because, you know, when I think about the mission and vision of what Skyhawk Enterprises, the Biz Info Zone show, and the P3 Academy represent, it truly is about changing the statistics of successful women-owned businesses. Most people think like the SBA has given us the statistics in failure rates. And 95% failure rate is just not acceptable. My brain doesn't want to compute that. I will go with the 5% success rate and know that without blinking too much of an eye, it can increase to 7% or 10%. And that's something to move forward into. And so if you're someone who's interested in helping women business owners, women who are interested in getting their message out, if they're authors or speakers, please let them know Dr. Aikyna Finch is doing some amazing things out in the marketplace that they can connect to, as well as me. I am so heart-filled with the opportunities that are being presented with all that we are doing. And there's so many others like us that I would say explore, find what really resonates with you, make those connections, establish those relationships, and relationships require time to build. Take the time. So, Dr. Finch, is there anything that you would like to say to our audience before we wrap all of this up?
Yes, I want to thank everyone who's listening in Scope Time and, of course, on the Hangout and who will listen to the replays. I want y'all to always be encouraged. You know, there's an audience waiting for you, and they're waiting for your message. Don't let fear stop you from doing what you were put on this earth to do. So go ahead and do what you need to do so that others can be uplifted as well. Thank you.
Thank you. What a wonderful message and heartfelt message. And one of the things that I say on closing the show is, you know, we were put here for a purpose, and living our purpose means doing. And do from the heart, because the heart is much wiser than the brain. And when you have them working in concert, one with the other, you're coming from an open heart. Marketing happens much more easily. Your sales conversations happen much more easily. So be a person with an open heart, because open hearts, open hearts. Thanks for joining us today in the Zone. I'm your host, Lynn Hawkins, with my guest, Dr. Aikyna Finch. We're so grateful that you've been here and or watching the replay. Join us again as we come to you in the Zone, the Biz Info Zone. Thanks again, and we will see everyone next week, right here. Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.